there we go. It will be recorded for archival purposes. So to do with that information what you will. I hope that's okay with all of you. That's all the announcements. So I get to stop talking now, luckily for you, and turn things over to Bethany Price, who's going to kick off, and then we'll pass off to Bethany.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Michael. Thank you, Woodland Pattern, for reaching out. And me and Freddy have done these Gathering Place of the Waters readings the past few years, but now we're doing it virtually. And Freddy had a lot going on, so I asked Parker to co-host. And Parker is a wonderful poet and host, so I'm excited to be here and see all of your faces. It's really invigorating. I have met no poets yet on this island, so you're helping give the, fulfill that energy for me. I know I'm not super familiar with every single person here, so I'm going to introduce you by name, and that will be it. Not because I don't want to sing your praises, but because if I don't know you, I will have to make up praises, and I don't want to tell a lie on your praises or something. So I would love to introduce our first reader, which is Brenda Cardenas.
Hi, everybody. Okay, unmuting. I'm going to read two poems, and the first one is going to be in an anthology called On Hope and Resilience in the Time of COVID-19, and it's a bunch of Wisconsin poets. We were given an assignment to write on hope in this pandemic. So it's called Without Us. Hope is Teosinte, maize's ancestor, planting itself in our garden, reaching all the way up to the rain gutter, stalk so tall I could climb it like a ladder to the roof. In silent Chicago streets, hope listens to robins yeep, cardinals whistle. It is the River Thames flowing clean and green through London fog, the 12-lane LA sky clear of smog, fish flashing their silvery fins as they swim in Venice's cloudy canals, turned turquoise aquariums, swans floating on their glassy surfaces. Hope swings with monkeys on ropes from ledges to balconies, seizing a town hall in Thailand, spins with sheep on an empty playground's roundabout, spots goats and peacocks strutting down the thoroughfares of Wales, wild boar ransacking Barcelona, and coyotes crossing the deserted Golden Gate. Hope is nilgai strolling roads in Noida, olive ridley turtles free to lay eggs on Oshida's beach without tourists swarming for snapshots. Hope is a family of red fox emerging from bushes to sun themselves in the parking lot outside our window. Capitalism's induced coma quiets the hum of vibrations in the Earth's crust. The planet's seismic noise on hold while we quarantine to escape microbes that look like sea urchins or allium flowers. Soon trickster Teosinte, grain of the gods, will push past our first floor, reminding us that ancestors float on wind, return in beaks of birds, in the busy hands of squirrels digging and tilling the good earth that will make its own medicine, cleanse itself, and keep turning long after our flames have blown out. And then this one is called An Arm and a Leg. A bright red organic tomato without any bruises will cost you a fingernail, the longest one you have. A carton of raspberries, the pinky, up to its knuckle. Oh, you want to grow your own garden? That requires seeds and soil, which brings half a hand these days. No, we cannot throw in a trowel for free. Hand over your thumb. If you injure your back bending to weed and wish to see a nurse, we are talking left hand and right foot. The doctor? Oh no, you are not tall enough for that. We've been told that last week you were in the market for clean air and the freedom to breathe it. That will cost you an arm. To breathe while black or brown, an arm and a leg. Some merchants will also charge you your neck. Why would you even inquire about justice? You know we haven't sold that for centuries. Well, only to the wealthiest among you, the ones who have two heads, a tail, and horns to pay. a pocket full of fresh cherries picked from the tree? That's more like it, but hope you brought a hacksaw that can cut through bone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brenda, for sharing those beautiful pieces with us. Wow, amazing. Next up, we have the poet, Bryon Cherry.
I think that should be unmuted. Hello, everybody. I miss you guys. Miss running into you randomly and saying fun stuff. These are some poems. Number 11. Motherless tide, make way for machinery Jesus, wearing the same drugs that were spent on evenings that we were mad to kill for. The entrails spiraled and swayed off the backs of pretender persons. Person born generations later from Latin symbol for an actor's mask. At last, brittle bones awaken pyrite soldiers to senses as they rattle and recede. Some of these are about like etymology, like that one kind of alluded to it. This one doesn't though. So I'm just gonna read two quick ones. So they are vacillating overtones. They had chaos for sex, had brunt bearing down, faced with fissures of fractals frolicking in the death storm, unconscious permutations, gathering imperfect information on the table, which was set, made of mahogany, set by the wolves, all others to their life, clenching like hands to steering wheel during this reiterating accident, during this apocalyptic motif, strangers nodding, plod their feet without ever evoking the hypnotic hymn. There is movement in the placation plantation. The gross domestic product is, as the prophecy depicted, gross and profitable, where one can taste the blood in the wine, pretending games have meanings, as the chimes, silver and electric, in stiff Lake Michigami air, clang, bang, bang, clang, disrupted molecules of air which have no ears to understand their violent sudden bursts, dance conscripted manic movements. Some of the molecules even displaced near 7 dead orange with burned red tip daylilies, which are actually not dead yet, but only average 3.47 days in tantalizing, crisp bloom. And I'm just gonna finish with a fake sonnet. This is fake sonnet number 22. Stars are vague tonight. Many mother portals open. Wild tongues reach for high flames. Thelonious Monk plays brilliant corners on a zephyr. The people lock arms. This ritual calls for blood, blood where the meaning of blessing is derived. Blessed mother words, halogen halo streetlights insist, halo halogen light street fight in the dark, tattered strands of logical conclusions, culminations of deified violence, cataclysmic, shifting bedrock. Thank you.
Killed that. Wonderful job, Bryon. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Elias.
Hello? Good?
Oh.
Awesome. Just real quick before I read, I noticed that Peter Brzezinski's in here, and he was actually one of my creative writing professors at UWM, and he like lured me out of like a 2-year writing drought when I went into his class, and I was super inspired by everything that he read and everything that he wrote. So I'm glad you remember me, and I definitely remember you, and I just want to say thank you, because like you're part of the reason why I'm here, and I'm very thankful for that. So shouts out Peter B, my man. Okay. Anyway, okay. Here's my first one. I guess it's called Homecoming. It's Everything's a Working Title. Okay. Love, a flower that which blooms twice, hidden in the garden of a familiar unknown. To seek it is to deny it, an unspoken pact of willful blindness, a curious 4-letter word with one true remedy, a friend to few. A crippling 4-letter word, an unyielding pact of sorrowful permanence. To deny it is to seek it, hidden within the contention of a mindful ignorance, a leaf that which falls twice, loss. Here's the second one. O denial, the politician of grief, the indulgent minor key, the aversion of transient rebuke, disburden your lungs of those hushed affairs I've so longed for, following the foul odor of decay that tells of your arrival, like the dreaded vulture to carrion. The blind man hears not the difference between the right and the broken clock, for they tick all the same, and his troubles exist not of his own accord, yet very much the same may be spoken of the able. Oh, how chagrin sets my ears and cheeks alight. You sharpen your stakes of iron to then bury them in the smoldering ruin of what could have. That same iron used as a tool by which to brand this body with a scar unseen, to be held as a totem, a curse. Only now do I gaze upon my reflection to be met with a thick veil of scarlet. Only now do I feel the searing uncertainty, a pain ebbing outward from my navel, a flame unsnuffed. Oh, to be disenchanted by life alone. The the humble poplar tree works tirelessly to blanket our green with her cloud-gilded seed, her innocent labor undone by the meek ember. The ember who in his ignorance forget these same seeds kindle a wall of fire, that which marches absent of discretion, reducing all that lies beneath the heavens to an ashen catacomb, an affront to her majesty. Oh, to be hopeful, an insurmountable force which springs eternal, gently beckoning to those wayward many, offering sanctuary at the slightest whim, a gift horse with weathered teeth. What could mend this foal's weakened resolve? Charity, perhaps? A constitution renewed, one which itself governs? Would I make good to entertain that this ailment lacks a cure? And what am I willing to wager? Oh, to purge all doubt from this quill forthwith, to tame the tempest-born waves within, ceasing only when these oceans resemble but a single pane of glass, a tranquil jaunt into a depth unmatched, thus earmarking the novel's final page, upholding closure in faith that perhaps this story may finally seek its rest. Okay, and last one's quick. To the waterlogged stranger in the lake whose presence seems to burden none other than myself. To the disenchanted veneer of a wind-starved sailor staring longingly across the storefront glass. To the brief liaison with the world that occurred at the moment my eyes met with the bifocals of a passerby. To the bleak, frosted face of a homeward lantern, its wick doused by the capricious breeze. To the expressionist visage appended to the egress of my past life's estate. To the stale understudy of sloth and lust that greets me in the washroom on every summer's afternoon. To the vitriol and pleasantries exchanged between mind and body. To the child born of impulsivity, infatuation, secrecy, and betrayal. To the disgraced union of my mother's eyes and lips and my father's cheeks and nose. To the product of an adoration plagued by irreverence. Still we feud, and yet we find the time to breathe. Thank you.
Incredible job, Elias. Thank you so much. I'm loving this engagement. Thank you so much, everybody. Keep hyping each other up. Fucking love to see it. Keep doing it. Next up, sorry, serious face. Next up, we have Kimberly Ellingson. Forgive me.
You got it. Thank you for having me here, guys. I'm really glad to be here. I'm going to read just a few short poems, and this first one is called Until Further Notice. As soon as the aftermath of one death becomes manageable, another occurs. Don't question yourself now. I'll tell you exactly how to do it. Get sunburned at the funeral. Keep a bottle of bourbon on the nightstand. Buy curl-colored sheets and bury yourself in them at the end of each unair-conditioned August day. Drink bourbon for dinner. Drink your dinner in the hot curl cocoon of your bed. Carry a Ziploc bag filled with old photos and show them to no one. Fuck the neighbor. Eat a piece of chocolate cake while sitting on the curb in front of a bank. Rub broken aloe leaves on your charred shoulders. Walk in circles around the block. Kneel at every boarded up building, every stack of bricks where a window used to shine in sunlight, every orphan set of stairs. And this next poem is 37 questions. Why do your eyes shift when you answer me? Why are you fidgeting? Who are you with? Are you lying to me? Why are you friends with those people? Why are you dressed like that? Why are you dancing like that? Why are you talking to him? Did you fuck him? How come you are so nervous? Why are you laughing? Are you a sociopath? Where were you the other night? Where is your phone? Who is texting you? How many times did you fuck him? Why hasn't he texted you recently? What color are his eyes? Why don't you know? Do you want to see him again? Why are you eating that? Don't you want to lose 5 pounds? Why not 10 or 15? Why won't you let me see your bank account? What are you trying to hide? Don't you know you can't manage your money? Are you taking advantage of me? Why do you panic when I grab your wrist? Why are you pulling away? How come you're hurting yourself? You think you need space? You want to leave? Have you not been paying attention? How would you manage on your own? Don't you love me? Why can't you say you love me? And this last poem that I'm going to read is called Sparrow Highbun. For a short time, I was gorgeously exhausted from grief. My body rejected food. People said, "My God, you're glowing." There was a man I loved who said, "I wish you were less." I closed my mouth. I stayed silent and hungry. I lost a cup size. My skin stretched taut, thin as tissue paper. Soon, my size 5 prom dress fit my once size 10 frame. There was no occasion to wear it aside from washing the dishes and taking out the trash. The man I loved said, "Look at those shoulder bones. Look at those pretty closed lips." My mouth became a refuge for lost birds. When my protruding rib cage received an ovation, the sound nearly drowned out his voice when he said, "I choose her." How can I eat when a sparrow dies every time I open my mouth? Thanks, guys.
Light me on fire. It's crazy. Great job. Wonderful job. Our next poet to perform is Susan Fearer. Hey, Susan. Susan, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Okay, all right. I just said how good it was to hear all of you. I've been so hungry to hear poems. I've been reading lots, but to hear them is really satisfying. So thank you for that. And thank you, Bethany, for inviting me. I'm going to read one poem. For a number of reasons, I could not march or protest this year. So this is my march. It's titled 8 minutes and 46 seconds. My Catholic father knelt next to his bed each night. He rested his praying hands on top of his mattress. His hands shaped the same architecture as my morning hands now make in Anjali Mudra. Until she no longer could, my mother knelt in her summer dress, in her summer garden, planting yellow and orange chrysanthemums. Knees are meant to kneel. The nuns in Catholic school taught me how to genuflect, a quick one knee kneel. Colin Kaepernick taught me the strength in kneeling. So far, over 636,000 people have died in the COVID-19 pandemic. Unaccountable numbers have died in the pandemic within the pandemic. People across the world are out in upended streets, protesting the cop's knee on George Floyd's neck, the knee that crushed Floyd's beautiful face into the street, that crushed all life's breath from him. Across the world, in Australia, in Boston, Chicago, in Denver, England, France, Germany and Hollywood, India, Japan, Kenya, London, in Milwaukee, New York, Philadelphia, Quebec, and Sweden, Texas, Utah, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and Zimbabwe, people are honoring George Floyd. A planetary throng of voices shouts, "I can't breathe, say his name, no justice, no peace," the chants challenging violences and silences. To kneel is a spiritual act. To breathe is a spiritual act. People are kneeling. I am relearning how to kneel. Knees are meant to kneel in prayer, in protest, in yoga, in gardens, in love, in respect, in burning cities. People are kneeling.
Thank you so much, Susan. Thank you so much, Susan. That was very powerful. Wow. Our next performer we have is Bailey Flannery.
Hello.
Hello.
So thanks, Bethany. So just to give you all a little overview, I'm just going to be reading one poem because it's a little bit longer and it kind of needs a little bit of an introduction, just for those of you who might not be familiar with the mythology behind it and that it's drawing on. So this is kind of a continuation of something I've been doing since I've gotten into poetry over these past 2 years, and that's rewriting myths from the perspectives of the women who are often mentioned in them, but rarely are the central characters or rarely get to offer their own perspectives. One such character is Persephone, who in Greek myth is the daughter of Demeter, who is kind of the goddess of the earth and the goddess of the harvest. In some versions, she's dragged down to hell. In others, she willingly goes and she becomes the queen of the underworld. And so this poem is kind of an exploration of what it's like for her to come back, because every 6 months she eats 6 seeds from a pomegranate when she's there. And so because of that, for 6 months of the year, she has to remain basically during wintertime. And then during the harvest time, she gets to return to the world above. But I thought, what kind of a journey is that like, and what does it mean to come back and rejoin your mother after going through something like that? So the poem is Persephone Returns, or Growing Up. Mama, stroke my hair and sing the world alive like you did when I was just a girl. Mama, rest my head in your lap and wipe away guilt and grime from the hands that clawed their way up. Mama, let me tell you a story of how it wasn't so bad. The seeds of freedom just took more than I'd wagered. They took the sting and tang of peaches, the innocent tease of a breeze flirting with my skirt, the way the sun would trail kisses along my jaw as I tilted my head back to drink the sky, falling into its amniotic waters, unborn and born again in open fields. They took the way it felt to dip my fingers in warm earth and bring forth life, to be a witness to sprouts and blooms and the sky fade's orgasmic burst of scarlet and honey and rosebud and cream, that sacred place where beginning and end kiss. They took the safety of being held the way the wild grasses held me, selflessly, without expectation, my body cradled as a seed in the palm of the earth amid rustlings of feathers and twigs. They took my proud spine that rose up like a sunflower in stick-straight confidence, even when keeping time to sun rhythm, no shadows or shades to bend it. Mama, do you hear those voices? They're calling me back on winter's wind. Mama, one last thing before I go. There's nothing wrong with trying a bit of forbidden fruit. It's just that no one ever tells you about the long way back. Mama, it's such a long way back for a woman. Thank you.
So good. Thank you so much, Bailey. Thank you so much. The next poet we have is Julia Frank.
All right. Hi, good to meet everyone. So I just want to do 2 quick thank yous before I start. I have 2 poems today, but I'd like to thank Jacqueline Stumiller. She's lurking around here somewhere. She was my professor, and she introduced me to Bethany, and so that's why I'm here. This is my first poetry reading, so I'm very excited. So my first one is called An ABCdarian from Breakfast. A is for the anchovies, which started the fight. So when I pulled the bloody tampons out of my nose, I could still smell them. cooking in the kitchen. You were humming, soft, beautiful, dreamy, your big hands ripping up the spinach and cracking the eggs for our breakfast. I washed my lips and chin in the sink, feeling the vibrating humdrum rumble of a lawnmower outside. We gathered again in the kitchen, around a table the size of a thimble, an heirloom of your meth head uncle who died on his sofa in Texas, in our apartment the size of a postage stamp, where we stumble and jostle the walls each night, sometimes from the love, still alive and kicking, somehow, because the rest of the time we shake the walls, livid, loveless, screaming and swearing over the water bill or the rent money or the way that I sew your buttons back on. And you put new blood in my mouth, and I burn up your clothes in a barrel outside in the alley. Then you kiss my swollen lips and buy me pink roses, and I buy you a new Yankees t-shirt at Walmart and quietly sneak it back into your drawer. I cut off the tag with the red metal scissors that you used to cut my hair in the bathroom when my sister came to visit, but my hairdresser was closed, and you covered the tops of my ears with your hand so that you wouldn't nick them. And we were fine until she left and you hated her and hated her new boyfriend, and the vodka they brought you was cheap crap, and I threw your glass against the wall so it shattered into 100 million pieces, and called you a xenophobe, and said that you hated her because she was adopted. We are young still, and today we just sit around our thimble of a table and eat breakfast like zombies, because I hate anchovies, and though you'll never say it, you do too. All right, that's the first one. The second one is called Mojave Dreams. It was the spring when I headed west, burying pieces of myself among the churning sands of time that shivered and boiled beneath my feet. The jagged corners of the long broken hourglass sticking up against the waves, cresting, fast and then slow, in sand that stretches across the desert, crawling up towards the setting sun. Time cannot be contained here, as days turn into the moments between locust cries, and I forget about the color green, and everything falls apart somewhere between the ghost towns and the empty rest stops, on roads where the heat fills your lungs, and you begin to see people without faces walking beside your car. I drive on still, for when the soles of my feet touch the cool sand of a California beach, or my tires skid 95 miles down the PCH, and I drive straight off the bluffs into the sea, I will remember the color green as it looked in your eyes, while the waters flood my car and wash away every Mojave dream. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Julia. Our next poet we have to read is Allison Friske.
Hi, everybody. I hope you can hear me. Just want to thank Parker and Bethany for having me here today, because the first time I read in Milwaukee was actually at this event last year. So I'm happy to be back at this event, although it's virtual. It's fun. Okay. The pit. Pluck it or pick it or poke it out. The pit of me, a wrinkled bezoar of seed. Shell me like a nut, like a snail. Salt me and watch my skin burn. Hit me with a fly slap clap until it's a fuzz cloud of clover flower on a rabbit's tongue. Genie, grant me my dandelion seed wish and exorcise it, extinguish it, exterminate it. The eye of the storm, swallowing shellfish, sunfish, swordfish. You cannot unwish extinction, I know, but this poison mass will send me into throes, hysterics, barbarics. Take it, take it, take it. I wish to be free. Also, I apologize about my puppy. He is very attentively watching people outside, so hopefully he doesn't bark. Okay. Creator. 1. I am crafting my body on a pottery wheel, limbs in a frozen running stance, belly button, a nest for microbirds, flowers budding from cuticle beds, shoulders shaped into tense rocks, head held loosely by flimsy wood, collection of fragile insect wing freckles, baby teeth hanging by cotton threads. 2. Lopsided lips say, where's my spine? I cup cheek and say, I ate it. Crunch a fibrous celery stalk, bone fat. You want a body until you don't. 3. Her head slumps to Sorry about that, everybody. Okay, 3. Her head slumps to the ground. Split. It's a little more anticlimactic than I wanted it to be, but and then my last one. I am a folded paper bird, flying at the level of dusk, wings pointed and bare-skinned, white ghost, delicate as glass. A cumulus cloud would drown me, heavy wind would tear me. You see, this is the kind of fragile they feel I am. A thin piece of college-ruled poetry secured beneath the cracks of my back. They ask where I'm flying, into the eye of the storm. They say I will be upturned like an earthworm, ink veins bleeding across gaunt veil, a naked paralysis of soul. But I jet into a sliver of lightning, become it. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful economy of language, Allison. Our next poet we have to read is Annie Grizzle.
Hi everybody. Sending all of the love. Oh, well, you're not the only one with an animal that needs attention all the time. So we're just gonna scooch him over here. Okay. All right. The night is beautiful. Nothing changes as I walk out the door. Indifferent nectarine larvae swim around vibrations of hollow plastic and self-portraits as I see them, as they see it. Sprinkling teeth heads project dry growth. Dirty nectarine sockets conduct Spockian math curls, pull themselves from night obligation, pull themselves from single-noted value critics, multiplying without consciousness, multiplying under the assumption of infinity, under the assumption of disappearing landfills, blind formulae repeating, the sound breath tempo alive and soft, and moss breath tempo alive and damp, and moss breath repeat, forms from spores that are carried by the wind and currents and water, forms from outgrowings of the brain, forms from tree belly genetics, forms from forms that must enter symbiotic relationships with fungi, forms that are forgotten, forms that are forgotten forming, forms that are forgotten forming and left to rot, repeat and left to rot, and mothers forming, repeat and mothers forming, left to rot, repeat, alive and soft and damp step tempo, alive and soft and damp moss breath tempo, alive and fragments retaining fragmentation, occupation. I beg nectarine for cultivation, jumping at my own reflection in glass, laughing in my face over my need for it. Spaces inside spaces, if we all lined up box to box, I forget skin is too absorbent for it. I now realize I have once again put all my is in a single broken faucet. My need drips like larvae from the tongue. The cocoon is bad and nectarines are good. They draw a bath from my very own mucus, and I attempt to soak in virtue from the outcome. I don't know if I'm trying to tell you how this makes sense to me. A mind in many ways not able to see, and yet in many others seeing. The circles of the trees were tree green, the cement to cement gray. The dissonance falls flat and weeps. I mourn for someone I have no right to. I clean it and kiss it on the forehead to measure the pressure, to measure the ability to function. A can is placed inside a head, plastic dome. No cuts, deep bruising. Nectarines, I am a sinking sour tooth. I have reached in the pocket and found nothing. All of my 6 legs work, move in sinister formation. I have given up, don't distract me. I have maimed God, do not tempt me, never touching life. Pleading until our senses dry out, no good or bad, only truth escaping through the skin of my question. The truth of the skin smells, the liquid smells. Tender fruits bruise when I cradle now, one very imperfect nectarine to another, and so if I can, let me be tender. Thank you.
Fuck, drown me in a river. That was amazing. Okay, sorry. All right. The next poet we have to read is Kelsey Marie Harris. Or Kelsey Harris. I'm sorry, Kelsey. I forget if you go by Kelsey Harris or Kelsey Marie Harris.
Hi, everybody. It's so cool to be reading with so many awesome poets. I'm just going to read a little bit from two of my chapbooks. One's called Sex Wound, and the other one is Bury Your Horses. Shout out to Freddy LaForce. And these are going to start and end with a poem about a squirrel. There's a dead squirrel on the deck. It's big and it's warm. It's super dead, but its nerves haven't caught the hint. The flies latched on immediately, almost shamefully. And then I thought maybe they were collecting its soul. And then I thought maybe flies are angels. Paint it green and bury the horse under the porch with the others. The vibrator in the nightstand is a microphone, not to be confused with a megaphone. The vibrator is not to be confused. Love is a luxury like avocados and toilet paper. Massage my millennial mouth naked in the storefront, so long as you pay your rent on time, so long as you keep the lights on. Coffee stains on the drop ceiling make me insecure about my teeth. My jaw clicks when I stare into your eyes, maybe on account of the frog gig in your retina. As tadpoles, we threw seed pods into each other's backs and set the fields on fire when we weren't watching Space Jam. The soup was made from grass clippings. It never gave you flight, so we smoked dead leaves rolled in notebook paper. There's always a box of dead kittens in the garage, a live one pissing in the basement. A boy would be a gun if the barrel smelled like weed and peanut butter. If I'm on my period and I lie to you, I'm on my rag baloney. You'd understand if you knew to spell it without any R's. If you knew you could circle the parking lot, but you won't avoid the clowns. Quitting while you're ahead is not conducive to time travel. Paint your horse yellow, bury it under the swing where we showed each other our genitals. The best pot for crying is the kettle with wings. Pour your tears in the community pool with the others. Self-care as an act of war is more violent than combat hand-to-hand or with guns. The van is waiting out back. The women have books and AK-47s as backup. The crawl space is a perfect size for children. The dirt in my nails is my attempt at escaping. The virus lived 3 days on the light switch. Now your sister is dead. The government won't collect the body. Sheets once new collect skin samples, viral as a dance, viral as a sperm count, viral as decay and cheap vacations. Paint the horse gray and bury it in the schoolyard near the steps where the slow boy serenades you with B2K lyrics. On the last day we build trenches, abandon the lines in the sand, find solace in a canoe ride after your mother dies. Next summer, a boy drowns in the same river. Irony tastes like leaving your drink alone at a party. Now you carry a basketball in a paper bag, ask for change outside the laundromat, cradle a baby doll on the city bus. According to the algorithm, there's always a kid with cancer, a girl giving head in the stairwell, a teacher who can't hide their vices. The ecstasy is mixed with the Altoids and the garbage cans are on fire. You aren't who you were except sometimes between the lines and the notes you pass me under the table. You want to tell me we're going the wrong way, but hindsight says I should be the last to know. A squirrel stood over another, flattened on the road. Could have been a lover, stranger, or nemesis. All I think inflict the same burden of empathy, variant degrees on a moment of longing. Despite my best effort to swerve, the squirrel almost certainly dove underneath my car. The sound of the skull cracked beneath my tire, too loud for its size, a dirge of sorts. Thank you.
Excellent as always, Kelsey. Thank you so much. Our next reader we have is Nadjah Hasan.
Hello, everyone. You guys are just killing it. I don't even know if I could top any of this, but it's not about that. I just wanted to say I appreciate everyone for, allowing me to share my soul. So I'm going to be performing 2 pieces, and I may have time for an extra one if possible. The first poem I'm going to be reading is called I Die. It is something I wrote before I had a spiritual awakening. I have lupus, and right before I wrote this poem, I had a a surge of seizures, had about 6 seizures, and I wrote this poem. Before I ended up having those seizures, I woke up in the hospital thinking that I was going to perform this poem. I think there was, Bethany had another poetry slam, and I thought I was going to perform there. So this poem is called I Die, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Today I am alive, but yesterday I could have died. In life, they say, take it all with a grain of salt, but what if that alone can cost you your life? I am blind and I can see, knowing of nothing but peace, and I died on the inside. Not capable of unraveling the trauma wrapping my bones. Not alone, but definitely alone. How can it possibly be that you can see what I see, these eyes, that through these eyes, real life can be seen? They say I die, but I decide. Guided by light and love toward the light. Heal me of the lies placed in my mind. I didn't get to decide, but today I decide. I take hold of my life. Don't tell me that you know what's best for me when I'm reaching back to bring you. Come with. Only love on this trip. Blue skies, maybe even purple and shit. They killed me, but I'm standing in front of you. I rise. All right. The next poem I wrote, and when I was in high school, and I kind of like reading it, so I'm going to read it. It's called Things Never Said. He doesn't care, but it's not as if I was ever under the impression that he did. God, I want him in the strongest way. It's already been made clear that I can't have him, but I'd like to think otherwise. If I didn't, the things that I never said would be trapped. Well, they already are because they're not coming out of my mouth. They are stuck within my subconscious, along with all the moments and the memories that never happened. They swirl around in my head, and once again, the things that I never said get in the way. But still, I never tell him that I want him the way the sun wants the stars, constantly craving but never quite reaching until I fall into something I never wanted to in the first place. Then I become my own first aid kit, fixing the bruises and the damage he didn't even know he did. Somewhere in the middle of all this, I've become addicted. Art for the lovers gallery is what they call this, and I was the one who was wrong because I wanted to fall in love the way Hazel Grace did, slowly but in all at once. Instead, I was hit with the "you can't always have what you want" lecture, the "sometimes life works out in ways you don't understand." I understand. I understand that we live in a generation of not being in love, and that we fall in love with people we can't have. After all, that is just teenage love. It wasn't meant to last. At the time, I wasn't thinking about when it was going to end. I was thinking there is heaven in his laugh and ecstasy in his smile, which was right around the time that I got addicted. Because he had beautiful eyes, the kind that you could get lost in, and I guess I did. I was in the winter of my life when I met him, and he became my only summer. A dream is what he was. I woke up from this dream and realized that my subconscious was creating for me a man that I can't have. Or maybe I am just art for the lovers gallery. All right. And this last poem is called There I Can See the Light. When everything changes, we seem to fall. Crash, boom. The cocoon is cracked and I am ready to bloom. So scared of the growth. So scared to be real. Not trying to be someone I'm not, just trying to be someone who feels. Can you feel me? Do you see where I'm trying to go? You can come with if you like. Here for the love, not for the spite. When everything changed, we crashed and we bloomed. The boom was needed and not the doom. The veil has shifted. The cocoon is no more. I am here with my hand on every handle of every door. If I open it, will I see? God is pushing me. Now is the time. The door is open. There I can see the light. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you enjoyed.
Thank you so much, Nadjah. You did wonderful. This ends my portion of the hosting. I'm going to pass it off to Parker, but I'm going to say I hope you guys are hearing people that are new to you, and if you do like someone's work, I hope you reach out to them and say so. And I really appreciate all the engagement on the chat. I think it's so fun to hype each other up this way. So I'm going to pass it off to Parker now.
Hello, hello. Thank you, Bethany, for your wonderful introduction of those poets, and thank you, poets, for sharing. We're going to keep on rolling. The next poet coming up, I am going to do similar style to Bethany, to where I'm pretty much just going to introduce people by their names, and then we'll keep flowing from person to person. And for those of you who don't know me, hello. I'm Parker, and I love poetry, and I'm happy to be here. The next poet we will hear from is Kiara Honeysucker.
Hi. All right, I'm going to read 3 poems. The last one is very short. Okay. And I don't do titles, apparently, not very well, except for the little one. There's a seam that splits my body half, bark brown black like my mother. It hungers as a baby-voiced mimic that stalked the forest in the town of her birth. It smells of sun-kissed dirt and 50 people, all kin. Half beige, brown, black like my father, it is fussy as the baby dressed in frill, who doesn't know all the bones his grandparents broke for him to dress in white, or all the collars stained blue just to keep him there. One half gave teeth, the other pearly veneers. When I look in the mirror, I see neither beige nor bark. I see warm gold-brown connector. I see seams. Where mother meets father, where old hides in new, where north eats south, and the glue which wormed its way between cap and tooth. Yesterday, I cut my tongue on my own tooth. Sharp from the grindstone, I tasted my own blood, and I gave thanks. With a voice that had gone hoarse, sore from banging against blunted drums, I said thanks for words that, after timidly bumping in my throat, sometimes snagged themselves on my teeth. I said thanks because I remembered the little girl whose edge had no teeth. The last little one I've got here is called Salvation. Yeshua hands down a mirror. My tiny bruised knuckled hands can't hold it all. Praise her name. And that's my short share with you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing and for those words. The next poet we will be hearing from is Dasha Kelly.
Hello, good people. Everybody else soul feel full? Yeah, mine too. Mine too. I have 2 short pieces. Definitely inspired by or framed by this time that we're all sharing. The first is a tribute to the beginning of these scary days and how they become less scary. Creatives. The fathers have been wrong. Neither wits nor years have been wasted, loosely spent perhaps, scattered and prayed over. Rejoice the harvest. Turns out the mothers were right about rainy days, though, about positioning barrels under the sky, about dreams plummeting and evaporating. Curse the drought. Never mind the second cousins, the supervisors, in-laws, pew mates, classmates, and warm-hearted ex, unconvinced and unimpressed, ever concerned under the breath. Condescension is a learned language, ill-fitted for the expanse of their genuine affections. Cherish the village. Gather the creatives, muscles taut from bending humanity into open windows and carpet rides. Harness our wattage of will, carrying narratives from the perimeter into conversation centers. We vibrate with imagination, with abandon, reverence, and arduous hope. honor our breath. The second piece is titled Hope is a Bruise. Paintball pellets batter shoulders and thighs at 190 miles per hour. I count the purplish bruises and smile at the post-vision of us toasting, laughing, being vibrantly alive. The woman who pierced my nose rushed outside afterwards for a cigarette. Whether my nostril or her nerves were to blame, we both survived an ordeal that day. I don't think of the sweat on her lip or the tears on my cheek when my jewel black nose disrupts canonical spaces. Agony delineates childbearing from child rearing. Pain is the anticipated toll, the impossible stretch of skin and orifice, wrenching of organs, the pinch and nip of nursing. I receive no pamphlets about the pangs of panic and impotence, the deep marrow rupture when their ache explodes beyond your reach. A formation of police fired rubber bullets at my child. 200 feet per second in defense of hatred and spiteful ignorance. She raged back in protest until her throat rasped, her heels blistered, and she shattered into sobs once safe inside our home, in my arms. They gassed and maced my baby. She marched again the next day, and the next, and the next, and the next, and the next. Hope is a bruise, a nervous smoke, and an unrelenting Calvary. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The next poet we will be hearing from is Gabe O'Neil.
Hey y'all, hope everyone is well. Super stoked to be here. I'm like kind of like taking a minute on that last piece, like damn. So yeah, give me a second. That was heavy in a good way. Okay, so I'm gonna do three pieces, and I would love to be that writer that's got like really witty and terribly like clever titles, but I'm more likely to have a piece based on a quote from Hot Rod, you know, so that's just my general vibe. So I mean, no title for the next three pieces, but this first one is really about interactions. In this body, I am brown skin stretched taut over muscle and bone, tiger striped arms, smooth torso, thick thighs. In this body, I am refrains of thunder, silent surrender, uneven tones, line after line, time punctuated by riddle and rhyme. In this body, I am delicious, delightful, desirous, divine. Dancing tongues trace invisible designs. In this body, you are warm, glinting, firm, unforgiving, quivering, you come quickly. In this body, you are call and response, question and answer, past, present, future. Unfettered inception, unhindered perfection, you becomes me, becomes I, becomes we. Seeing with senses and sensual tension, written in real time with ink, no revisions. Permanence, poignantly poised in pursuit of precision. No limits, this body a way to transcend new dimensions. This body, we are chaos and wonder. Brilliance and bravery, dreams yet discovered. In this body, we are prayers yet uttered. Spoils of war, we are pillage and plunder. In this body, we are righteous, we are whole. In this body, we are. The next one is one that I actually wrote with Bethany, and it means a lot to me, and I couldn't really.
I think Gabe may have frozen. So we are just gonna do wavy hands, transition hands as we wait.
Gabe, come back to us.
If you write,
Gabe, unfreeze.
I'm guessing maybe your wrists are a little stiff. Feel free to loosen them if you can.
Gabe, come back. Oh no.
And hopefully Gabe will flow back in and join us.
Oh no.
And
okay. Okay.
Maybe Gabe will have to rejoin, which is fine. If so, we'll just slide them into the order. We're waiting a few seconds to see. We're gonna.
Oh, I was gonna say, also heads up, Arya can't make it, so you can skip her name in the lineup.
Okay.
So just a heads up, Pekarsky will be coming sooner than you thought. But yes, I hope that Gabe is.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yay! Yes, we can.
So sorry, we've got a AT&T problem. So sorry. I know I probably messed up the whole lineup. Am I able to do one more?
You are you're right on time. You're perfect. We didn't have to move on or anything, so you can pick up right where you left off if that works for you.
I'm not actually sure where I dropped out, so I'm just gonna start on the second piece and roll with it. I will be pink squares of dreams unfolding and unfolded, a simultaneous undoing of coded chaos. Break lines, dashes and dots, beginnings and endings, the infinite I seeing the unseen transcendent, transforming creatures. Words form worlds from desires. An unexpressed voice, wounds stretch loud, piercing the void with echoes of shapes imprinted on self. I am nothing, I am everything. I am God and the godless, I am the sinner and the sacred. I am a stain of glory, shrieks of triumph, trumpets of sound, cover me with the blood of saints, nail me to this cross of wonder. I will be an endless chorus, burn me at the stake of desire, conspire to corrupt. I will be what I will be, what I will be. Learn to unlearn, lean in to destroy, invite the crisis, engage the storm. I am the fury, I am the light. Shake this grief until it's pretty, violate all that's holy, pursue destruction when beauty is its own delight. Compose, create, construct, confound, command all that is you to become. I will be what I will be, what I will be. This is the last one, and I'm not gonna say anything about it, I'm just gonna read. I came, suddenly and without announcement, a violent passion, a sinister hope. I came, forceful, gentle edges, sharp intent, a realization that this fuck has all of the eloquence of a hollow, decimated corpse. I came, hungry for acknowledgement, eager for the taste of this, groaning destruction, aching surrender, given to unquenchable thirst, trade my wetness for yours, trade my tears for more. I came, helpless against you, assault my sensibilities, abandon regard. With echoes of desire, I fall. Relapse is a bitch. Thank you.
Thank you. And might I point out that there were tech issues and that did not interrupt our ability to enjoy your work. So thank you. And the next poet we will be hearing from is Sam Pekarsky.
Hey guys, how's it going? So can you hear me? Am I good? Okay, cool. I can't see myself. That's the kind of strange thing right now. Am I visible? Yes? Go figure. Okay, so welcome to my office. I've been working from home for a while, and both of the things I'm gonna read are related to work because why not? I'm a corporate copywriter at a furniture company, and right before the pandemic, looking at the title of this piece, it would have been February 12th. My boss handed me a copy of the terms and conditions for a Milwaukee Bucks sweepstakes and said, you need to like modify this to be about a $5,000 furniture voucher from us. And I'm like, okay, whatever, you know, Control F, Bucks to NBF. And as I was kind of doing a sweep, I came upon this section, and I'm pretty sure this is the oracle. National Business Furniture is not responsible for any typographical or other error in the printing of this offer, administration of the sweepstakes, or in the announcement of prizes, including erroneous appearance of qualification for a prize, and under no circumstances will more than the stated number of prizes be awarded. And if for any reason NBF is prevented from continuing with this sweepstakes, or the integrity and or feasibility of the sweepstakes is severely undermined by any event, including but not limited to fire, flood, epidemic, pandemic, earthquake, explosion, labor dispute or strike, including but not limited to NBF employees or management, act of God or public enemy, satellite or equipment failure, riot or civil disturbance, war declared or undeclared, terrorist threat or activity, or any federal, state, or local government law, order, or regulation, order of any court jurisdiction, NBF shall have the right in its sole discretion to abbreviate, modify, suspend, cancel, or terminate the sweepstakes without further obligation. And if NBF, in its discretion, elects to so abbreviate the sweepstakes, NBF reserves the right, but not the obligation, to award the prize from among all eligible entries received to date. All entries are the property of NBF and are not returnable. Always read the terms and conditions, y'all. There's something in there. This next one is called Sinking Torpor. And there is a two lines of this. So listen, that were literally said by my company's chief marketing officer in a meeting where he talked about kind of like the faults of this residential furniture company that we also run that has since become a main revenue source during the pandemic. Furniture Time, you know, if you really want some good reading, I recommend this catalog. Know who writes it, real great. Sinking Torpor. I built myself an artifice of dirt. I built myself a metal on metal sound wave, fearing the mouthfeel of phrases that sit word on word, skin on skin, girl on girl. I built myself a dictionary out of pages ripped from another dictionary. Smiling, I ripped them myself, doing this so I could do that. I built it out of letters I stole from the dictionary, inside of which they are out of order and reassembled, as bird feathers are, once plucked, now so removed from their own. They would soon ask, are you my mother? No, I'm wearing a jean jacket, go away. I built the fields by telling people that I am God. I built trees and claimed divinity ahead of life, but this body feels as redundant as it looks. I built a ship and then I built an ocean out of spit, drowning the idling cars and empty doorsteps, so I could feel a sinking feeling at night. I wanted to make it out of spite. I wanted to make it out of sunken respite. I wanted to make it out of a coil. I wanted to make it off of the coil. I built myself a metal coil and made it everything to everyone. Inevitably, it became nothing to no one. I built the metal coil in my image. I built the mortal coil in my image, so lest it became a twisted paperclip skeleton, it would feel so little all the same. All right, y'all, thank you so much. It feels so nice to be in such incredible company. I miss all of you so dearly, and thank you again.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Sam. It's great to hear your words. The next poet we will be hearing from is Ricky. I might have mispronounced the name.
No, you did great. Yeah, Ricky. Okay. Thank you so much. I also do not have titles for my poems. But yeah, we'll just go for it. Apples were never for me, though her bite is always satisfying. The way her skin releases against your teeth, the sound erupting with chords of November. The white flesh caped in sultry red, Easy to identify, she's quick to be picked. But soon her bright strums of November surrender to the cold brass of December. The crunching snow beneath your feet is chewing on your mind. Mouth open, no regard, bits flying through the frigid air. The grasp so tight, the only thoughts allowed out are ones she's creating herself. The metal scratching the sky, luring you closer. The sweet juices dribbling down your chin. Stick to your coconut oil fingers. Stick to the handles of the doors to the spaces, hugging gooey, glittery pools of possibility. And I will be here, buried in cherries and plums, kissing your shadow, sweet dreams. See, apples were never for me, though her bite is always satisfying. That's one. The second one is one that I actually read at one of Bethany's other readings. It's about my mom. She and my father eloped and immigrated to the United States in Orange County, California in '93. They are both immigrants from South India. And this is just a poem about her experience. She taught me to braid my hair to the center of my back. Told me one day she would entwine jasmine beneath each plait. She taught me that my third eye rests between my brows. Told me it was a hungry realm waiting to be set free. She wore it proudly as a symbol of the women before her. Told me of the fierce pack of lovers, magic makers, and caretakers. She let it nestle into the hairs between her eyes, never plucked them divided. Told me it was an ode to the Desi women before me. She showed me that the gold pin in her nose told others where she was from, the village south of Chennai. She rubbed marigold turmeric into her skin, told me it was a sun shining through her like the thick desert heat. She poured rose water into my baths, told me the petals were as soft as her mother's eyes. She placed every little mustard seed into my sambar with care, told me the art is in the details. She filled the dark skin of her hands with mehndi, told me it was her mother's way of saying she loved her. She adorned her body in a silk embroidered chudidar, told me the blue reminded her of how tall the sky felt before it came crashing down. She moved to a country, left her family behind, told me a white man took more than she could have ever imagined. She wore that blue silk to a convenience store, told me she had gotten used to the glares of the people next door. She went looking for the pens to write her sweet mother a letter, told me she had felt him breathing behind her shoulder. She panicked when she felt his hand around her arm, told me each word was a knife stripping her down. What do you think you're doing here? Can't you see you don't belong? If you have the audacity to come to my country, start looking like a fucking American. She stood there, every hair standing up straight, every tear rushing to her eyes, every word pushing against her lips. Told me she was scared that if he heard her accent, she wouldn't come home. Told me she walked to the Goodwill next door to her apartment to buy a pair of light wash jeans. Told me she cut her hair in the bathroom sink and cried at the braid laying lifeless under the dripping water. The space between her eyebrows, now always empty, the embroidered garments now dying in a cardboard box beneath her bed, the henna powder as stale as the turmeric in her cupboard, the rose petals accidentally forgotten till the end of fall, where they lay brown in her suburban garden. But the mustard seeds still found their place in the warm bowl at the table, and that hole in her nose never did close up. That's it. Thank you all so much for listening.
Thank you. Thank you for that. The next poet we will be hearing from is Margaret Braska.
Thank you. Had to remember to unmute myself. It's a great way to spend Friday evening. I'm going to read two poems. First one is called Maybe It's Just Allergies. It's nothing, she tells herself. It's a nothing that feels like something in the corner of her eye, irritating, so she wants to rub it these days when you are not supposed to touch your face. It's 75 degrees Fahrenheit inside, 72 outside. Rain in the forecast, trouble on the horizon. The chickens come home to roost. Prophets turn over in their unmarked graves. She who has been in denial realizes these raw voices were prophetic. She wrote rain without closing the loop of the A so that it looked like ruin, and the sentence read, ruin in the forecast. Sometimes she says more than she intended. She lowers her shoulders, straightens her back, blinks away the trouble in her eye. And the other poem is called I'm Not a Superhero. Because you are not thinking about it all the time does not mean you are not thinking about it all the time. A centipede at the bottom of my bathtub could not climb the straight sides of the tub. Try. A couple inches gained, not more, before sliding back down. Rest. Try again and again. I've seen the same thing with mice that fall into the window wells. I have seen, I am seeing the same human thing. With a thin cardboard box, I scoop up the centipede from the tub, carry it outside, let it figure out its next grounded step. I am not a superhero, only a person who imagines a tool, a next step. A neighbor fashioned a plank of board for the mouse to scurry up. I'm alert for what might serve the plank purpose up out of this valley of death. There are solutions that do not involve dying or killing. Sometimes you fall into a poem. Sometimes you stumble onto a poem. If you keep your eyes open, your eyes and your heart. There are poems happening all around you. Lift them up, set them down on the page, edit as needed, gently. The poems cry out to be written. Once written, they seem inevitable. They are a miracle. They have the power of a soul. Because I am not thinking of them all the time means they serve an ongoing plank purpose.
Thank you so much. For those of you who know, you'll know that I cry easily. For those of you who don't know, I do cry easily. I've teared up several times during your poems, and I really value all of this tenderness and care with words. So as we continue along, the next poet we will be hearing from is Aaliyah Simone.
That's me. Hey, family. Well, first, it's such an honor to be in a space with so many amazing poets. I love y'all so much. And I miss poetry and poetry events. So thanks for having me. Yeah, poems. Here are a couple of short poems that I really enjoy. So I hope you enjoy them too. The first set is I Am My Mother. Piece 1, Garden of Ghost. It is a field stretched over hills, wild and green, grass that comes to the knee, the soft soil below welcoming the seeds of blossom speed to take rest, tuck themselves in deep, allow the rain and sun and all this bullshit to nourish you. This is Eden, the beginning to a long end, the first home Lilith left to tremble in her wake, the first woman scorned, feared, written out of history, the gardener turned outcast. This is the freedom song hummed on the wind, left behind by women like me, like her, the first demon to roam, the fields stretched over hills wild and green, the soft soil below welcoming her body to take rest, tuck herself in deep, allow the man who remains with fairy tale and pride to nourish this land. This is Eden, a garden full of ghosts. Piece 2, Myth. I've heard tale of a secret place women like me can escape to. A place where magic don't hurt nobody, where Jesus ain't got no business, but is always called back, always the cuckold of the wanderer. A place where the sun don't dip but halfway through horizon, where the moon got free reign, room for her to stretch her limbs wide, lie open and proud in prairie field, fearlessly find the flower that resembles your sweet bloom most. Yeah, I've heard tale of lands promised, preached in parable, wrapped in lace and silk, left waiting in the murky memories of women that wander and wish with fistfuls of glass and glue and sand over flame brighter than the morning star, brighter than hands like these can muster with 2 good throwing stones and branch butchered from base. Maybe we ain't supposed to be free. Maybe our teeth supposed to gnash and snarl and whimper and beg and bend at the waist for a somebody who will steal the tune out of your caged bird song, hear the grinding of hollow bone and still don't give no fuck about women like me. I mean, maybe we supposed to be in the dark. Piece 1, Shrinky Dink. I have this bad habit of shrinky dinking the world and saying it's for you. Bake it, make it shrivel, watch it contract and crack as it smokes. Sometimes I boil it down or steam it fresh, reduce the world to a hot stone, dense, place it on the small of your back while I whisper a hymn over you, ask you to stand, dare you to run. Call this worship, call this unconditional love. Ask if you notice my selfishness. Ask if you quietly resent me. Tell you burdens like this are never easy to get rid of. We cling, we linger, like the bedrock of childhood religion, full of idols and contradictions, like liquor and cigar smoke, full-bodied, thick and toxic, like glitter. We turn men like you into gleaming spectacles, adorned by shrunken earths, always approaching Armageddon. In the dark, piece 2, Trepidation, and I'm gonna leave you alone. Night has always been daunting. Once, I learned to make friends with the moon, find comfort in the lurking shadows. Now, I lie in this disjointing darkness, curled tightly in on myself, beneath oceans of cotton and wool. Here, sheepishly, I pick through the teeth of the cackling ghouls, littered across the walls, searching for a piece of myself, or a god, or some other ghost. I surrender to the tide, sink into spring and pillow top in his chest, build this heartbeat ripple across this iceberg body and whisper the prayer I have always prayed on nights where you find Father Time, the Sandman and the Grim Reaper sitting on my grave, shooting dice on my tombstone of a headboard with the bones they found in my closet, and pray they don't piece them together. Pray no one finds the night has always been so daunting. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for your words. The next poet we will be hearing from is Elias. I may have mispronounced your name, but you are next up, Elias. Sepulveda.
Hi, ¿qué onda, everyone? We got a couple of poems tonight. First one is Gates of City. Skin wreck on the bluffs of hollow-eyed cage. Knives, mare, steel and flesh, and skinless rain crawling, wrenching along edge and mutilation. Even the rain has a calavera. You said everything is fossilized. Emptiness is so loud here. I only hear past trenches carved into vocal cords. Drowned by the dark sea before harvest. Maps trailed dead flowers, plant sirens, ring doom. Props speak on hingeless roots. The self is more aerodynamic when being butchered in English. Do not operate without guards in place. Coiled siege of a serpent tongue, lodestone waits for eyes. Gather knowledge, cageless, sculpt every letter of the houndless blood song, the banished wind of moon sailing lungs, hurled feet, unspeaking swells. The sacred fire of lambs is fucking on wicker limbs. A window open to carnivorous air, the bottling of sirens and breaking. The last piece is a short piece called Ikebana. Oh, hustle, you ain't honey. The broken rivers leave us. Our bodies, brief maladies open to the rain. Our bodies, units for pollen songs. The arrangement of black and brown deaths is ready-made. Baltimore, Chicago, East LA, statistic, corrido, heap. Charred limbs of sugarcane are unlaced from the earth, bundled, packed into pickups. Campesinos hack at any standing. Enough derangement and scattering can carry the muted body. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for your words. The next poet we will be hearing from is Kelsey Tedeschi.
Hi there. I'm on my phone and I'm curious if the volume is all right. Okay. Yeah, oh my gosh, I'm so honored to be involved and want to say thank you to everyone putting this together. It's been a pleasure to hear everybody's work. Just gonna go right in. August 24th, 2019. I think it might help to make a list of all of the things that have ever made me giddy in iridescent ink. See them slide across the surface of a liquid, a tired but ever open eye. My plant in the corner knows when to stop sending water to the sicker parts. Have we all the power? I wonder. I spare the spiders and centipedes. Say bye-bye to the silverfish. Love isn't real, and I'm bored of myself. October 24th, 2019. Without pain, life is mild. And it's easy to think like a girl, as if it's the only room in a house. My idea of perfection is silence with only one sound in it. Sunlight on a shut eye makes its underside orange. Oh, beauty, my opposite. All right, I just have one more. Thanks for listening. This is called Love in Simple Shapes. It's been proven there's really only two feelings. A bed fenced in salt, a balloon going up. In the void, everything is rabbit colored. It's incessantly spring and it isn't wonderful. But we can fuck if everything that matters is covered up. In dreams, I'm perfectly pussied. Just a line and approximate dot. Are your dreams crumpled or folded? What do the bodies even look like? All right, that's all from me. Thank you. See you later.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you.
I think that.
Thank you. Our last poet of this lineup is Monica Thomas.
Hi. Thank you everyone for having me be a part of this yet again. And thank you also to Pete. I'm at his house. That's what you see eating in the background once in a while. I have just one poem that's probably made up of more words than any of my, all of my other poems put together, because I've been working sort of in a prose poetry style lately. So here goes. St. Monica's. Coming around the bend on our way home from rummage sales, we saw a farmer's market setting up in the parking lot of St. Monica's, an assisted living facility presumably either named after me or the patron saint of alcoholics. We've passed St. Monica's plenty of times, often joking that's where I'm going to end up, naturally. The market wasn't huge, just a handful of vendors lining a short row of parking spaces, their trucks or vans parked behind them with pop-up canopies and folding tables set up out front. I felt very compelled to stop, even though just minutes before, Pete and I had agreed we were glad to already be done for the day. And it looked interesting enough that we decided to go. I was glad because all day and even the night before, I had secretly been hoping to find some parsley plants. The very first vendor I approached had a bland-looking assortment of pale green vegetables spaced out across most of the table, knobby kohlrabi, underripe tomatoes, and very small and uncommonly bulbous striped zucchini. Everything pretty much looked all the same. The stand was operated by an average-looking woman with a deep tan wearing a green garden apron, her light brown hair held back in a messy bun, along with two preteen girls who could have been what that woman had looked like at various stages of earlier development. The far corner of the table held a meager offering of potted plants. I honed in. They did have parsley, but the only curly parsley plant was a tiny fluff of a thing, like the sprouts of a chia pet, but without the comical clay pots. I initially felt destined to get it, but was reconsidering it because of how puny it was. There were several other pots of flourishing flat-leaf parsley, stretching 3 times the height of the curly leaf, marked $3 per pot. The pot the fledgling parsley was in had a big crack down one side, and unlike the others, the price wasn't marked on it. So I asked, "Is that parsley $3 too?" The woman looked sideways at the parsley plant, then almost apologetically answered, "Yes," with a trace of acknowledgement in her voice as to why I'd questioned it. If she'd had more of the curly kind to offer, or maybe if I'd shown interest in buying some vegetables, I bet she would have given it to me for free rather than try to justify selling it. "Oh," I said, "I'll have to think about it. I really wanted the curly kind, but maybe I'll go with the flat leaf instead, since those look better," hesitating because of how scrawny it was. But I also knew that because we were limiting our shopping trips, it might be my last chance to get a plant that season. "I could do 2 for $5, she offered. "Well, sure, that's good," I shot back. "That works. A plant like that should be discounted by at least $1. And then I'd have the flat leaf too as a backup. So that should be fine." As we're in the age of COVID, this whole exchange was conducted from a forced distance with our face masks on. As a farmer's market is somewhere you generally pay with cash, I fetched a bill from my wallet after using a squeeze of hand sanitizer from the small bottle I have attached to my key ring, a giveaway from years back that I never thought to use until last March. I pulled out a $5 bill and bent in to hand it to her with an unspoken assuredness. "Here you go. I'm pretty sure I don't have it," I said with my eyes. "I'm chancing you don't," she blinked back. Thank you.
Parker, and if this is okay with you, Michael, it looks like we have some time left, so I don't know, Parker, you wanted to read a few poems?
Yeah, so thank you, Monica, for sharing. I will share a poem with you all as well. This is, I guess, one of my personal oldies but goodies. And it kind of came out of a moment of deep anger and pain, but this poem is very much about laughter. It does use the N-word a lot, so be prepared for that if that's something that you want to be prepared for. I hope you enjoy. This is called "When White Girl Makes a Comment About Loud Niggas." I hear more than loud niggas. Do you mean we niggas? Do you mean us over here, mouths open, too wide to find words to express a reaction? Everyone in a 15-feet radius just laughing, eyes squinted, almost closed. Somebody's crying in a good way. Somebody had to run out the room and come back and then run in a circle too. Somebody's on the floor, slapping a hand down on the carpet. Somebody's clawing at their abs, screaming, "Can't, no, I can't, just stop it." Somebody went and lost their breath. Every laugh sound like wheezing. Somebody keep adding details to the story, choking out words. It ain't easy to have been designated nigger at birth. A casual comment on your worth, to have the word propelled at high speed toward your body. Even when you drop the ER, put an A at the end. It's not y'all's pain to do anything with. It is us. We, this community of people who share history with me, maybe also eating collard greens and black-eyed peas on New Year's Eve. We, somebodies, we many bodies, we niggas, we Negroes, darkies, niggers, African Americans, Black Americans, we melanated nation, we taking the names given us and loving us anyway, we niggas laugh, we niggas happy, we niggas name ourselves beautiful, we niggas still here. When white girl makes a comment about loud niggas, I'm not afraid to sound like a loud nigga. Hey, white girl, why you so mad? Thank you. And thank you all also for reading and sharing.
Thank you, Parker. That was really well done. Beautiful. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Woodland Pattern. Thank you, everybody. This is like a party. I'm so bolstering.
Bethany, can you end with a poem?
Sure. If everybody's okay with that, timing-wise.
We get to hear your work again.
Okay. All right. Okay. Can you hear me, or do you hear music as well as me? You hear me?
I hear both.
Mainly both. Mainly me. Okay. Then I'll try to be as powerful as I can. He said, most bars have cover chargers, but here's some watermelon flavored vodka shots if you want. He said, you were like an angel rushing past. He said, I'm trying to heal. He said, we all work at Tesla. He said, me and Gigi can give you guys a ride home. Waikiki isn't far at all. He said, get home safe. He said, you just passed me. I was walking, thought you were gonna bus home. He said, do you have marshmallows? He said, your hair was bouncing in the wind. He said, nah, that's the hotel manager. He lets us do our thing. It's our last night in town. He said, do you smoke? He said, it's a $10 cover. He said, I was in a coma for 12 hours. He said, he's getting fit for a helmet to protect against his seizures. He said, you're beautiful. You should be a bartender. Lots of girls I meet down here do that. He said, what brought you here? He said, I get it. No numbers exchanged, but do you want to come hang out? He said, the woman in the red dress is a hooker. He said, a gay dude eyed him up and he felt attacked. He said, I don't look gay. Why would he hit on you? He said, you got to tap your drink when you toast or else it doesn't count. He said, hey girl, how you doing? He said his girlfriend is Japanese, but he can't speak any of it. He said COVID put her out of work and she may need to leave if they void her work visa. He said, you get a gold star. I'm impressed you know that song. He said, I could lift you home if you're embarrassed about it. You don't have to tell anyone. It's okay, it's on me. He said, thought your shorts was a skirt. He said, let me buy that frog purse off you. He said, at the evening's onset to me, eyeing me up, hey girl, slow down. He said, you were a beautiful distraction. He said, thank you for connecting with me 1,000 miles away. He said, bye-bye, poet girl woman.
Ow! Woo!
Guys. Yeah, they're sweet. Oh, there's a virtual bonk tomorrow? Talk about it. Someone talk about it.
This is Nick. Virtual Bonk tomorrow is all music, 3 musical performers, Naomi Marie, Ben Mulwana, and Marco Jaimes. So if you're doing something where you want beautiful, awesome music in the background, 6 p.m., look up Bonk on Facebook. Thanks for the shout out, Kelsey.
Thank you so much for telling us that.
Amazing event. And that.
Everybody. Thank you so much for being here, Nick, and everybody. And oh, Bonk is a poetry and music series hosted by Nick, correct? Okay, yeah. So if you look up Bonk, like B-O-N-K exclamation mark on Google or Facebook, you will find it. And there's a virtual event tomorrow. You could tune in. It's all music. So yes.
And I'll just say Kelsey Marie Harris has curated the August Bonk. She's got an all poetry August Bonk coming up. It's going to be
fantastic.
Really
also, yeah, so I don't know if Freddy is still here, but Freddy is like an amazing publisher and poet, and he, please look up Vegetarian Alcoholic Press. Woodland Pattern also sells his books, so please look up that. And he publishes great people, Kelsey, one of them. Many people I can't remember, myself included, I forgot to say. But anyway, yes, thank you guys, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. It was amazing.
You guys were amazing. It was totally amazing to hear everyone. It was an incredible reading. I'm so glad this is recorded. That's all I have to say.
We're so cute. All of us are really adorable, I'd say.
I agree.
Incredible. Thanks so much.
It's good to be hearing poetry inside of Woodland Pattern. It's really good. And Elias, you owe me one more assignment. Email me some poems.
Okay.
Peter, you need to host a podcast. Doesn't he? Peter's voice is just like, he needs to host a podcast.
Peter and Sam, those two.
Yes. Just co-host a podcast about, I don't even know what it will be.
Oh,
about.
God, dude. That could get weird.
How about poetry?
Poetry. Well,
Yeah.
okay.
Bye, everybody. Waldorf.
Bye. Thank you so much.
You guys.
Another good
Bye-bye. Have a great night.
Night.
Everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much to the readers.
Yes,
Amazing
thank you,
job.
everybody.
Thank you.
Yes, buy everyone's book that has.
Thank you, Dasha. Thank you.
Thank you.